Welcome back to the Point Guard Cast with your host Sean and Corey. I'm Corey.
I'm Sean. What's up, man? How you been?
Good, man. How you been doing?
Been all right. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Although it's been like, 8 days?
Yeah, it has been a couple of days, but that's all right. It's our first episode of 2022. I must say Happy New Year to everybody that's listening to us. Hope everybody had a great holiday.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Thank you all for an amazing 2021. The growth we saw in 2021 was crazy. I would have never imagined for us to be so. We weren't as consistent as we wanted to be, so I thought it would affect our growth, but it really didn't at all.
But it didn't. We actually grew even more.
Exactly, which is amazing, and it's something that we didn't expect. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who supported us and listened to us in 2021. We will definitely be more consistent this year in 2022. That's one of the biggest goals of this year.
Yep.
But this year, NBA season kind of started off with a little bit of a bang. You got Kyrie Irving, who's officially back with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So in October,
what are the details of that? You know the details of that?
I know a little bit. So on October the 12th, the Brooklyn Nets released a statement saying that Kyrie Irving would no longer be with the team due to Kyrie not following the vaccine mandates in New York City. Mm-hmm. Then December 17th, Brooklyn Nets released another statement announcing that Kyrie Irving would be rejoining the team due to an overwhelming amount of players entering COVID protocols and injuries.
Okay, so the reason they said that they were gonna let him play was because players are getting COVID.
Yes, because it was one part of that COVID grievance that a lot of teams were facing. So teams were signing free agents and G League players and things like that.
So they were just put Kyrie on the team.
Pretty much, yeah.
So he was like a 10-day contract, basically, is what you're saying.
Kind of, but I mean, he's already had a contract with them. Like he was already still on the team.
I know, I understand he was already on the team, but like them bringing Kyrie back because of all the players having COVID is equivalent to the Lakers going to get Stanley Johnson for a 10-day contract.
I mean, yeah, kind of. But, what's interesting, the GM had a quote, and I can't quote him verbatim, but he had a quote that was pretty much admitting that, like, them bringing Kyrie back was for them to win a championship. That's pretty much what he admitted, in more or less words.
Yeah.
So, I knew that.
But we all knew that they were going to eventually come around to it.
Right, exactly. That's what I said. I was saying, like, I already knew he was going to eventually come back. It was just a matter of time. It's really like COVID kind of gave him an excuse to bring him back. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
we all knew what was going to happen. It's Kyrie Irving. How do you not, have Kyrie Irving a part of your team if he's under contract, if he can play?
Right. That's the biggest thing. So we all knew he was going to come back eventually. So Kyrie Irving.
I think the whole not being able to play at home thing is going to hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
But not as much as it would have hurt them if he couldn't play on the road, if that makes sense. Because if at home you have your fans, you have the atmosphere that you want. It's like you're at home, but like in the playoff, when the playoffs come, and you don't have Kyrie, you only have him for away games. How's that going to affect what the team is trying to do in the playoff?
Ooh, that's a good point. We'll come back to that during playoff time because that'll definitely be something that a lot of people will bring up. So he made his official debut for the season January 5th versus the Pacers. The Nets won. Kyrie had 22, 3, and 4, shot 53% from the field and was plus 16. Pretty good debut.
Good numbers for the first game.
Right, exactly. Pretty good debut. Now, I think the last couple games he hadn't been able to play because they've been home games for the Nets. So he made his debut on the 5th, and then I think he has to miss the next 2 or 3 games because they're home games, and then he'll be back with them. So with this inconsistency and this up and down that the Nets will have to deal with for the rest of the season, how do you feel it'll affect the Nets' team chemistry leading up to the playoffs?
I think that I would personally be kind of looking at them sideways. Because, if we're doing whatever it takes to win a championship and you're compromising that because of quote-unquote research or whatever the reason Kyrie said he doesn't want to get the vaccine is, science, real scientists are proving, get the vaccine, bro. What research do you have that these people don't have? that you're like, I'm not gonna get it. I mean, like, I understand people having their own stance, but like as a team, if you're a part of a team trying to get a common goal, you're compromising that because of something you don't want to do. I mean, I guess you have your morals and what I don't know. It's a tough situation because on Kyrie Irving's standpoint, like they should understand where he's coming from if they're his teammates, right? But then on the other guy's standpoint, it's like,
right,
bro, come on, what are you doing? Like we trying to win a championship and you're compromising that, or you're potentially compromising it. So I don't know. Maybe they'll look at him sideways. Maybe not. Maybe they 100% have Kyrie's back, like they would say in public.
Okay, pretty valid points. I feel like it's just gonna. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be tough. Like, well, first and foremost, like they played together last year.
What do you think about that?
Right.
What do you think about the him? Oh, never mind. You're probably going to get into that anyway. Go ahead. My fault.
No, you're good. Well, first and foremost, they played together last year, so I feel like their chemistry shouldn't be too affected. But they do have some new players on this roster this year compared to last year who haven't played with Kyrie. So some of them, since he's been out, some of them have kind of had to make up for his absence this year. So the thing I think will be affected most is some of the role players come playoff time, who have kind of been used to playing without him, who have been used to just playing alongside KD and James Harden instead of Kyrie. See what I'm saying?
Last year was such a blur, bro. I did not even remember that they played together last year.
Yeah, I mean, they barely did because KD sat out a lot. James Harden was out. Like,
I'm thinking last year was KD's Achilles injury, but it's not. That was the 2020 season. That was the bubble season.
Yeah. Which in a weird way was not last year, but it felt like it was last year. It was 2 years ago now, but it felt like it was last year. The last two seasons were kind of almost seemed like they were the same season.
They were like, it was like meshed together, right?
Yeah. It was weird. COVID made it weird. Yeah. So I understand why you would feel that way, for sure.
It messed up the timing. The Lakers, they did what they did. Everybody wasn't
right.
People weren't healthy last season, like they should have been. Not should have been because it's basketball. Injuries happen, but like we would have liked them to be.
Right.
And it was just like a blur. But go ahead.
It was. Okay, so with the way the Nets have been playing, I think currently at the time of this recording, they're about 24-12. Do you feel as though the Nets need Kyrie, or do you feel like they've been doing good enough without Kyrie?
I think they can win a championship without Kyrie, but Kyrie doesn't hurt.
Right.
Kyrie only helps.
Okay, I agree with that. Only thing I will say about the Nets this year that's been weird. Well, first of all, they're 24-12. That's great. Yeah. The only thing is they struggle versus top tier teams. Like they've struggled versus teams like the Warriors, teams like the Suns. They struggle versus the top teams, but they've won the games that they needed to win. They beat all the under 500 teams so that's the reason why they're 24-12. So with them pretty much doing really good this season, doing great, even without having Kyrie there are some fans who feel as though they don't need Kyrie. Like if things get worse come to worse, they can't have Kyrie again. There are fans who are saying like, we don't need him that bad. We've been doing pretty well without him.
It's like fans say a lot of things.
True.
Like you think about what fans say about Anthony Davis.
Right.
You think about what fans say about LeBron James or whoever. That fan, it's a fan say shit. Well, fans say.
Right.
So.
Okay, I agree. I just think some fans are trying to like they see some Nets fans.
Yeah, maybe they see that their team is still in the top two without Kyrie, and then you still have James Harden and Kevin Durant. So like, what is James Harden can easily play point guard. He can slide into that point guard role. Right. And Kevin Durant is going to be Kevin Durant until Kevin Durant can't be Kevin Durant anymore. So it's one of those things that we have two other stars. So we're not really worried about Kyrie. And then they're probably angry with Kyrie, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Some of them, yes, I agree. Yeah. I think what some of the Nets fans are just trying to say is that they're not panicked if they were to have to finish the season without Kyrie, because so far in this season they've done well enough. Yes, they haven't beat some of the top tier teams in the league, but that's okay. When you win the games you're supposed to win and you have a 24-12 record, you're still doing pretty good. You may not care about beating a team like the Warriors now, but if you got to see them again towards the end of the season, or you had to see them in the playoffs, you don't mind beating them then. You don't mind losing to the season series in the regular season if you can beat them in the postseason. So that's what I feel like some of the Nets fans are saying when they say, do we really need Kyrie? So I don't think they mean it in a bad way per se. I think they're more so bragging on how well the team has played so far this season.
The fact that Kyrie can't play in home games is a complete distraction. The Nets fans aren't going to see him play anyway, because, you know, if you think about it, when they come to town, when the Brooklyn Nets are at home, he's not playing. So like that, right. They're just like, forget Kyrie. Some of them, maybe.
That too. It could be. It could be. Some fans are saying they don't need Kyrie out of love. Some fans are saying it because of what you just said. I think it just depends on how they look at Kyrie. But I got it as we're doing decent this season, or we're playing pretty well this season. So if we didn't have him, we would be fine.
You're a Pacer fan, right? How if Kyrie was a Pacer, Malcolm Brogdon was doing this, right? How would you feel?
Right. Well, with the way the Pacers season is going right now, I'd be a little upset.
No. Okay, what if they were the contenders? If
they were contenders, I would say you want to have somebody of that caliber because it can't hurt at all. But with us being as good as we are thus far without him, I wouldn't trip about it too much.
So if your team is good, he gets a pass?
I mean, kinda.
It's kind of selfish.
I mean, it is, but at least the team is still playing.
It's fans though. It's fans though. That's my point. Fans are selfish.
True. That is true. I agree. As fans, we are very selfish. So you brought up. I like that point you brought up. That's a good point. Right. But since we're talking about contenders in the East, let's talk about a player from the number one team in the East currently, which is the Chicago Bulls. DeMar DeRozan has been playing out of his mind this season.
I really love the way this team plays, man. I think I said it on the last one. I'm a big Alex Caruso fan. We know we're talking about DeMar DeRozan, but I'm just going to give the props to the entire team.
Right.
Because that team's playing outstanding.
Oh, for sure.
And they're very fun to watch. I'm a fan of a lot of players on that team, and that includes DeMar DeRozan now. I wasn't a big fan of DeMar DeRozan before this season. No, I wasn't. It wasn't like, oh,
really?
I gotta go watch DeMar DeRozan play. DeMar DeRozan is one of the guys I want to watch play now. The man's hit 2 game winners in a row in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, back-to-back.
The spirit of Kobe Bryant is living through this man.
I agree with you.
But yeah, the Bulls are very fun to watch. I really enjoy watching them. I hope that they continue to go on an upward trajectory. I hope that they continue to get a number 1 seed. Well, not a top 3 seed at least, and contend in the playoffs. Possibly get into they could be the Phoenix Suns of this season.
Okay. I could see that. I could definitely see that. I like that you brought that up.
I'm rooting for them.
I am too. Well, I'll say I've been a DeMar DeRozan fan. I loved watching him and Kyle Lowry in Toronto. They were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun to watch.
Until they ran into LeBron.
Right. That was really their only issue. But that was a lot of teams' issues, really. That was the Pacers' issue back in the day. Just kept running into LeBron and the Heat. Like, that was a lot of teams' issues. So I give them a pass for that. But
and now it's too late.
Right. Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about that. But I like watching DeMar DeRozan play. I just don't think he enjoyed his time in San Antonio. And I think that's when a lot of people decided to write him off, was his time in San Antonio.
Oh, who would?
And he just wasn't. He didn't like the system. I don't think the system really catered to him. I think it catered to other players around him. He just didn't like San Antonio, so he didn't play.
You got to think about what San Antonio is versus what DeMar DeRozan is. DeMar DeRozan is, or was at least, because he's really learning how to move the ball around and play team basketball now. If he would have did that with the Spurs, maybe they had a little bit more success, but DeMar DeRozan is like a one-on-one type of player, isolation type player, mid-range shooter. He will fit well in like the 2000s era, the way he plays. He's like a smaller Tracy McGrady in that sense. He's not as skilled as Tracy McGrady, I don't think. But I feel like he's like, the way he plays, he's like a smaller version of Tracy.
You know what? I can see that comparison. That's not a bad one. So DeMar DeRozan hit back-to-back game winners, like you said. First player in NBA history to hit back-to-back game winners.
Back-to-back nights.
So his first one was which is crazy. So his first one was December 31st versus the Pacers. That one-legged game winner from deep was crazy. Then his second game winner was the following day on January the 1st versus the Washington Wizards.
Bradley Beal's reaction was so hilarious.
But did you see the defense? Have you seen the pictures of that? Did you see Bradley Beal's hand?
I did.
Bradley Beal's hand
That's why he reacted like he did.
Bro, you can't play better defense than what Bradley Beal played. Without fouling him, that's the best defense you could play.
Yeah.
His hand was like, I don't even know how DeMar DeRozan was even able to see the rim. Like, Bradley Beal was there. That was a crazy shot he hit. Such a crazy shot. But yeah, DeMar DeRozan is the first player in NBA history to hit game winners on back-to-back nights. Now, I know for sure that there is a few players who almost did it, but the fact that he did it is crazy. He ended the year with a bang and brought in the new year with a bang for the Bulls.
Brought in the new year with a bang, yep.
So DeMar DeRozan... Go ahead.
He should be like at least top 3 in MVP, in my opinion. If he continues to play like this, I think he can win it. If the Bulls continue to win, and DeMar DeRozan continues to play like he was playing, being their MVP personally, and they get the number 1 seed, I think he can win the award. But he'll have to fight off people like Steph Curry, who's also a number 1 seed.
I agree with that.
And LeBron James, who's trying to will the Lakers back, who's starting to figure stuff out, by the way. When DeAndre Jordan sat down, things happened, like I said, but we're gonna We're talking about what? We talk about DeMar DeRozan.
Right. So speaking of, you think he should be top 3, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of MVP,
you must have like the ranking or something. You always on your stuff, man.
Yeah, I do got it. So speaking of MVP, they did release the MVP rankings for last week going into this week. So they have DeMar DeRozan currently at 6th.
What? Okay. Who's the 5 in front of him?
So you got Giannis number 1.
Oh, okay.
You got Kevin Durant number 2.
Okay, makes sense.
You got Jokic number 3.
They're like, why? Okay. But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
The Nets. I mean, not the Nets. The Nuggets are what 18 and 18, something around those lines.
Yeah, they're somewhere around there. Yeah.
LeBron James, they're 21 and 19 or whatever. He's averaging 30 points, but he doesn't qualify to be top 3. But Jokic does. What's Jokic's numbers look like? Do you have Jokic's numbers?
Jokic is 25.7, 14.4, and 7.0.
Oh, okay.
He's averaging 25, 14, and 7. But this is what I think. This is why I think they put Jokic over LeBron. Is Jokic has been here the whole season. LeBron was kind of spotty. He had like 2 injuries early, and then he had that suspension. So I think that's kind of what kind of affected LeBron's MVP rankings. Like, he just got ranked this past week. He was unranked for a while. He just got ranked this past week. They've got LeBron at 7. But that's the reason why I think Jokic is
the list
3rd.
That you have has LeBron at 7.
Yes.
So, okay. So what I'm saying is, why is there 4 people ahead of LeBron if Jokic is at 3 when they have they both have, like, LeBron's 37 years old and he's averaging 30 points. 37 and 6 or whatever he's averaging on his best.
He's like
on his best 3-point shooting percentage, and I don't know how many attempts, like 7 attempts. And he's shooting over 50% from the field. I see that Jokic's numbers are like almost triple double, but like you can't have Jokic at 3, but then LeBron at 7. You know what? Oh, who's number 4?
I see what you mean. I like that. Number 4 is kind of a shocker to me personally, but it's Joel Embiid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking to me. Joel Embiid has missed a decent part of the season.
Right. Okay, so he's number 4, LeBron 7, LeBron both number 5.
Number 5 is Steph Curry. Of course, he's dropped down a little bit. His team has still been winning, but him personally, his numbers have kind of dropped a bit. I mean, at one point he was averaging like 30. Now he's at like 26. He's averaging 26, 5, and 6. Still doing great. He just dropped a bit because he's been a lot less efficient compared to earlier in the season.
And that team's still winning. And Clay's about to come back. And it's like, what happened in that time? Nothing changed between the time that before Kevin Durant got there and after he left. It's like
I mean, they did kind of have 2 mediocre seasons in that time.
Yeah,
but Steph was hurt and missed all of one.
And then Jordan Poole and all those other guys, Gary Payton, like they weren't developed like they are.
Right.
They're developing players, have their core players that already know how to win. And now they're back to where they were before. And that's amazing.
Right.
I'm just like, wow.
See, that's the reason why I feel like part of them winning is going to keep Steph around that top 5 range. Like, even if his numbers continue to drop, like, even if he only averages like 24 a game, right? As long as they continue to win, he'll still be top 5 in the MVP voting.
And it's yeah.
That's just my opinion. As long as they continue to win, he'll still be top 5 in it. So yeah, Steph is 5th, and then 6th is DeMar DeRozan, averaging 26, 5, and 4. Then 7th is LeBron James, averaging 29, 7, and 6. Then you got Chris Paul at number 8, averaging 14, 4, and 10. The number 9 might be a shocker to some people, not to me, because he's been in it the last 3 years. He's made it into the top 10. Rudy Gobert averaging 15, 15, and 1. And then number 10 is Ja Moran, averaging 24, 5, and 6.
Ja Morant's having a great season as well. The Grizzlies. I feel like Ja Morant deserves to be higher on this list. The Grizzlies are like 4th on the list, right? Like 4th or 5th.
Right, they're 28 and 14
28 and
right
14.
Now on a 9-game win streak.
And they have Ja Morant at 10.
Yeah. Ja Moran has missed some games too, though. Like, I think what they've awarded to the top 3 players so far is how much they've been available.
But you can't do that. A lot of it's been COVID.
True. That is true. But I don't think they're taking that into consideration. I just think they're rewarding the top 3 guys. How much they've been
don't matter. Where did it come from?
That's a good question. What are you talking about, these rankings?
Yeah, the rankings.
Oh, this is NBA.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is NBA.com's ranking.
How would you...
I thought you meant...
How about you thought I meant?
I thought you meant, like, where did, like, the way that they are ranking these players come from? Like, what? Like, what did they base these rankings off of? And we don't know. I was just saying, I feel like availability is part of why they have these rankings the way that they have them. That's just what I was saying. But go ahead. What was your question?
What would your top 5 be? Because
go ahead.
Because Chris Paul, where you had Chris Paul 8.
He's at 8.
Second year in a row that him being steady, a true point guard, and have that Suns team in the top 2 in the Western Conference has getting him in the top 10 in the MVP vote.
Right, and in the power rankings, they're number 1 currently, actually. So, yeah. But
the Grizzlies are on a 9-game. They have a winning streak, but longer than the Grizzlies.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they did or not. I think the Grizzlies have the longest win streak currently, but
what are the Grizzlies in the power rankings?
The Grizzlies in the power rankings are 7th.
Oh my god! Like, what is?
But they're the 4th seed in the West currently.
What are they basing it off of? Because are we doing it week to week? Are we building it off the last week? What is going on? Like, if we're doing,
I feel like it's a week to week thing.
So if it's week to week, the Grizzlies should be number one if they're on the longest winning streak of the league. If that makes sense.
Possibly, but I think what they're looking at is also
you build off what you had last week.
Kind of, because I don't think the Grizzlies were like top 10 last week in power rankings, right. And so now they're top 10 in the power rankings, and Ja Morant is now top 10 in MVP talk. That I think that they're slowly, both of them are starting to move up. As they continue to win, the Grizzlies will move up in the power rankings, and Ja Morant will move up in the MVP rankings.
I just think that you should just scrap last week and talk about this week. Not build off what you had last week.
True.
So basically, I'm saying, like, if the Bulls are number one this week and they go 0-3,
right,
the next week, right? I wouldn't blink twice if they were like number 10 in the power rankings, because last week ain't got nothing to do with what you did this week. Well, this is this week's power ranking.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
I see what you're trying. I see what
I'm trying to say, but maybe that don't make sense, because think about it. If they go 0-3 this week, if they went 4-0 last week, you can't really do that. Because
but I also think they take into account like who you've beat in that week, that period. You know.
Yeah.
Feel you. So I think that also is what adds to it. But I do want to ask you, how do you feel about Giannis being number one? Yeah, he's averaging 27, 11, and 5. I think he deserved to for sure be in it, because it seemed like before this past week, he didn't get a whole lot of recognition in the MVP race.
Right.
But I think part of that was the Bucks kind of starting the year slow.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing great, but they weren't really winning. I mean, they're clearly winning now. They're like 25-15. They're winning now. They beat some of the top teams now. But I think it just the start of the season, they started out real slow. He didn't start out slow though. He's Giannis. He's been doing the same thing he's been doing the last couple of years. But I think they're starting to give him his recognition now. They see
all
that.
I want to say.
Go ahead.
All I want to say about Giannis is, like, enjoy it, because at some point they're going to get tired of you and they're going to stop voting for you.
That is true.
And you're going to be playing the same way for like the next 8 years, and they're going to be tired of it, and you're not going to win no awards.
Yeah, we've seen it happen to a few players in history. I
One in particular that I'm thinking about, that you know exactly who I'm talking about, but it is what it is, you know.
Right. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the way that the MVP has been set up the last couple of years is it seems like the MVP is really based off narratives.
Yep.
And I just feel like this is one of the first seasons that Giannis doesn't really have a narrative. So even though he's leading for right now, I don't think
he'll win it.
And come time when the season is all said and done, he will win it.
Yeah, I don't think he'll win it either.
I really think that they're gonna push for somebody else to win it.
I really hope it's somebody new, like a DeMar DeRozan, somebody that deserves it, but also that's been around a while, that we recognize that we can see get his due. Like, it would have been nice to see Chris Paul win an MVP at some point. Or or Dwayne. Right. I'm not gonna use Chris Paul because sometimes I like Chris Paul, but I was always a D-Wade fan. It would have been nice to see D-Wade win an MVP.
Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll put it to you like this: because right now DeMar DeRozan is doing great, and his team is the 1 seed in the East. Chris Paul's doing great, averaging a double-double with points and assists, and his team is the number 1 in the East. If these two continue to be the number 1 in the East,
in the West,
if the Bulls continue to be number 1 in the East, and then the Suns continue to be number 1 in the West through the All-Star break, I think you'll have those two being 1 and 2 in the MVP race.
I don't know if Chris Paul's gonna climb that high. I don't know if his assist number and his impact is gonna make him top 3 in the MVP race because it's not sexy. Because his numbers. Look, think about it. When's the last time somebody won MVP averaging 15 points? Steve Nash, and he did it twice in a row. And
right,
I still have a little bit of apprehension about that to this day. But it is what it is. But I don't think that in 2022, a guy that averages 15 points is going to win MVP. When you have multiple guys averaging like 30. True.
I can see that, but the only reason why I say it is because, again, MVP now, NBA MVP is fueled by narratives. So the narrative of Chris Paul is going to be he's in year 19 also. No, he's not averaging 20 plus, but he's averaging between 10 and 11 assists a game. And he's got his team the number 1 overall seed in the league for a second year in a row.
He ain't got that without Devin Booker.
Okay, true, but then that's when people go back to where were the Suns before Chris Paul?
Hey, you're right, but where was Chris Paul before the Suns?
With OKC, remember he was with OKC, and he was low-key sent there to retire, and he made them a playoff team, and they were about 1 second away from beating the Rockets.
You're right, Chris Paul makes everything better like this. You're right.
So that's what I mean, like narratives, like that will be the narrative if he continues to win. That's what I was trying to prove, like. It's fueled by narratives. If he continues to win and they continue to be the number 1 overall seed in the NBA, that'll be a narrative that people will push.
For sure.
And so they'll have him up there in top 3, possibly even top 2. Especially if he can hold this number 1 seed, not only the number 1 seed in the West, but the number 1 overall seed for a while. Remember, they did it last year and we were questioning it, like, are they really the best team in the league? And then, they made it to the finals. So, I'm just saying, if he could do that again for a second year in a row.
They kind of made it to the finals, but I'm just playing. They made it to the finals.
Hey, they still made it there. I know that there were some factors at play, but listen, they still took care of business when they were supposed to. They still made it there. So, if he's able to continue to win, I'm telling you, it's a narrative that's going to be pushed. That's the only reason why I was saying it. Because in the power rankings, your top 3 teams are all teams in the West. It's the Suns, the Warriors, and the Jazz.
And out of the Jazz players, Rudy Gobert was the one that they gave the 9 to because of the 15 rebounds.
Listen, let me tell you, I'm be honest with you. I think a lot of people, myself included, have been sleeping on Rudy Gobert's impact on the Jazz. Only reason why I say that is because I watched the Jazz play the Pacers like a couple of nights ago without him. And the Pacers won. And I was like, wow, Rudy Gobert does a lot more for this team than I thought.
I still have my stance. Remember my stance I had about you can't win a championship with a guy like that being your best player?
Right.
I still think that's true, though.
Listen, I'm not saying the Jazz are going to win the championship. Listen, again, they have the 3rd best overall record in the league. They've been top 3 in the league for like the last 4 years. Like, this is nothing new. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. I'm just saying I understand now why he's always top 10 in MVP voting to start like every year. It seemed like he's made it in the last 3 seasons. And I couldn't fully understand it until I saw how the Jazz played without him. And then I was like, okay. I think I understand it now. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Right.
Now that is a person who I don't feel will move up any further, even if the Jazz were to be like the number 1 overall seed or be the number 1 seed in the West. I don't see him moving up any further. But I do think he'll probably stay in top 10 MVP voting as long as the Jazz continue to win, which they're going to. I mean, they do every year. Do they not?
Yeah, they do. They
absolutely do. It's just
in the regular season.
Right. The only time we really question the Jazz is, in the playoffs. Regular season, they're always a top 3 team.
Yeah.
But for some reason, things change in the playoffs.
It's styles. It's matchups and it's styles. But they don't match up well with any team that has a stretch big.
True. I have to agree with you on that. So out of these 10 players in this MVP race so far, who is the most shocking to you?
Probably Rudy Gobert, honestly.
Okay.
But you said Joel Embiid being number 3 with the limited. Let me look at Joel Embiid.
He's number 4. He's averaging 26, 10, and 4.
Okay. But how many games has he played? 4. Because Joel Embiid.
Now, that's a good question. I am not sure, but he's definitely missed a chunk because he had COVID, and he talked about how much it impacted him. So,
and that's another story that they can run with.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Narratives really create MVP cases. But him being number 4 is a shock to me. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in it because I think he does for sure. But top 4 to me was very shocking. To me, nobody's really shocking on this list. Like, the names aren't shocking. It's just the order that the names are in.
That's what it is. It's the order.
I definitely think DeMar DeRozan deserves that 3 or 4 spot over Jokic or Joel Embiid. That's just my opinion, though. That's just me. He's averaging more points. Well, he's averaging the same as Joel Embiid, but he's got the number 1 seed in the East.
Right.
He's got a better record than Jokic and Embiid. So that's just my opinion. That to me is what's most shocking. Not necessarily the names, but the order in which they have the names.
For sure.
But I definitely think that that's going to change up when they release the new rankings either this week or next week. DeMar DeRozan's moving up for sure. I think they'll probably move LeBron James up too. I do think he deserves to be a little higher. I do think Steph will stay somewhere in this top 5 range because they're going to continue to win. Unless they have some type of weird drop-off. He'll stay top 5 in it. But I do think Chris Paul will move up, man. They continue to win, he's moving up.
Right.
They continue to win, Chris Paul.
I don't necessarily think he's going to move up that far, but we'll see.
Okay. I think if they can hold on, again, it's only if they hold on and maintain not only the number 1 seed in the West, but the number 1 overall seed in the NBA. But that's kind of hard because the Warriors are right there on the hills. I think they're like a half game back or something like that. Like, them and the Warriors pretty much have the same record.
Yeah.
Like, it alternates like every other game. So, it'll be tough for them to maintain the number 1 overall seed, number 1 in the West. But if they continue to do it for like consecutive weeks, he's going to move up.
Yeah, John needs to move up. DeMar DeRozan needs to move up. I'm not necessarily saying LeBron James needs to move up, but if Jokic is at number 3, LeBron James needs to move up. Either LeBron needs to move up or Jokic needs to move down. In my opinion. But other than that, the list don't really matter. It's right. It's before the All-Star break. We'll see how it shakes out. Have fun. Is there anything you want to talk about?
See, that's... no, that was it. I'm interested to see what this list looks like after the All-Star break, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I want to see. I do think there'll be some changes made. I don't know if there'll be anybody who will necessarily jump in here out of these 10 players.
You never gave me your top 5, did you?
Who my top 5 are for MVP?
Because I started to ask you. I did ask you, but then I kind of went down another rabbit hole because I'm a Sagittarius and we do that. But
that's all right. Okay, I'll give you my top 5. Okay, my top 5 would be Giannis.
Okay.
KD.
Okay.
Jokic.
Okay.
DeMar DeRozan. LeBron.
Okay. My top 5 would be Giannis, KD, Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron. And 6 would be Jokic. LeBron, no. We'll put Jokic ahead of LeBron because they have a better record. They're higher on the in the power rankings. He's almost averaging a triple double. So we'll put Jokic at 5, LeBron at 6. But I don't think there should be 4 people between each other.
Okay, I like that. You know what? I'll trade out Steph for LeBron. I'll put LeBron at 6, Steph at 5.
I'm gonna put Ja at 7. Ja Moran.
Yeah, he's for sure moving up. The Grizzlies are still winning. They're looking great.
I feel like I'm missing somebody.
They might end up being like the 3rd seed in the West if people aren't careful.
Yeah.
If they move up into like one of the top 3 teams in the West, he for sure moving up.
I would like to see the Grizzlies in a real playoff series with home court advantage. That'd be so fun to watch. Like, because I think they can still, if the Grizzlies are the 4th seed, I think they can steal a series.
Oh, they for sure.
But not even steal
My
a
biggest
series.
takeaway.
Not even steal a series. I think they can win a series if they have home court advantage in the first round.
I agree with you. My biggest thing about the Grizzlies has been like they've been doing this. They've been winning these games without some of their best players. Like they haven't had Ja every game for this win streak. They haven't had Dylan Brooks every game for this win streak. They haven't even had like Steven Adams every game for this win streak. So they've been able to win these games with or without some of their key players.
Right.
And so when they have all of their key players and they're fully healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I'm right here along for the ride because I'm a huge Ja fan. I'm a huge Ja Moran fan, man. He's a dog. He doesn't care. He'll try to dunk on anybody. I'll be like, what's this guy on? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, no, Ja Moran is for sure special, man. I don't think there's an NBA fan that doesn't like watching him play.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they like drug test him sometimes because like he be on because that man he
just fearless, man. That's the thing. Ja Moran's just fearless. He's not scared of anybody.
He'll jump from the free throw line and try to dunk on a big man. He'll try to dunk on Anthony Davis from the free throw line. And I'm just like, what are you going? Like, Ja Morant's my guy. So I would like to see them have a real playoff series. Not like a play-in situation.
Right.
But they have to play somebody a higher seed that's probably gonna beat them. But you can't even say they're one of those teams right now in the Western Conference, which is crazy to think about because it's been a long time since the Grizzlies been one of those contending type teams in the West. But they're one of those teams now, and I'm happy for them because Ja Morant, like I said, Ja Morant's one of my favorite players.
All right. I think Ja will for sure move up. I think when we revisit this list in about a month, maybe more, I think he will be higher on that list because I just think the Grizzlies will continue to win.
Right.
So keep that in mind about Ja. First of all, if you aren't watching Ja Moran and the Grizzlies, you're missing out.
Yeah, like go watch them.
They're one of the most fun teams to watch in the NBA right now.
Maybe we can do that on the next episode. We can do our top 5 most fun team to watch or whatever. Like who we
Okay, we can do that.
So yeah, look out for that. This has been another episode of the Point Guard Cast. We'll see y'all next time.